This is Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Make the time to subscribe. Now let's pull back those sheets.
Can we talk about the relationships? Can we talk it over, see how we can build? Only you and I know that's the way it goes. In this big old bed, they talk it over, so talk it over. Can we talk it over? We can talk it over. Can we talk it over in bed? Talk it over. Can we talk it over? Can we talk it over? Oh, in bed.
Yo, it's your man Big O back for another episode of Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. And we can be found, Trish. I'm gonna go ahead, Trish. I'm bringing you in immediately because we can be found. I didn't know we were on all these platforms, but we can be found on talkitover.show, on
Yep.
Instagram, and on the web. And you can listen to us on, let them know, Trish.
So you can find us at talkitover.podbean.com. You can find us at talkitover.show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Player FM, Listen Notes, Stitcher, and Tune In. So all of those different platforms, you can tune in and listen to us.
All of them places. All
Goddamn.
of them. So
Listen,
I'm gonna let y'all know
All
who
of
that
them.
is, throwing in his 2 cents in a second. But Trish, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good.
Listen, it's been a great day. It's rainy. It's rainy here. It's rainy there, I'm sure.
But you're gonna be gone in a little bit, so you're not even phased. You're gonna be in the
Damn.
sunny sky, the friendly skies, sun, sand, and beach.
Didn't I tell you my suitcase was packed like 3 weeks ago? I'm ready. I'm ready to go.
That's cool.
Not even
That's
ready
cool.
to go. Ready to go.
Ready to go. Now, yeah, it was one syllable. One syllable.
Listen, that's
Ready
it.
to go. I hear you. Just don't stay too long, because then I'm gonna have to come and be ready to go to come get you. So get the authorities like, listen, hold on. Her visa expired 2 weeks ago. How is she still here? We need this one back. We need this one back. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring in. We got some new faces and some
Mhm.
staples to the Talk It Over family. So let me go ahead and
Absolutely.
introduce the staples, and then I want to introduce the new faces as well. And just new faces, just know that when we get to the topic, it is generally custom that the new people have first go at it. So once we get to that point, just be ready, because you're going to be the voices we come to first. But without further ado, Brother Leon, welcome back.
I'm well.
Always a pleasure to have you on.
Always, definitely. I'm glad to be here. This definitely seems to be a very interesting topic and should be very fun. I'm excited.
Nice. Great. All right. And Sister Najami, Bush Woman Company, how are you today?
I am blessed and highly favored. I am Najami Nazama, aka Bushwoman of Bushwoman's Conversations Project, personal development awareness life coaching program, and also working with Talk It Over Ginkgo Leaf Productions. We just did a video shoot yesterday, which was fantastic. Looking forward to seeing the finished product. And I am looking forward to this conversation because I have some juicy information that can
Ooh, nice. We definitely can't wait to hear that. All right, so let me bring in the new first time guest. And as we always say, Talk It Over family is constantly growing. And so for the first, yeah, Trish, you.
Well, actually, there's one more person here who's been here before.
Yeah.
Khadijah
Hassan.
Tutu.
Mhm.
Khadijah's been on with us before.
Okay, I
Yeah,
apologize.
Hassan.
Oh,
Well,
Hassan, no problem.
Hassan just got, yeah, Hassan's always here.
No problem.
Hassan's here when he's not here. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to get to that. So Khadijah,
All right.
let me apologize. I am so sorry. So Khadijah, okay. Trish, you go ahead and bring in the introduction. I done already messed it up, so I'm gonna get quiet. Redeem myself later.
We also have Khadijah Tutu on here. She's been on at least 2, I think, other episodes. So Khadijah, tell the people a little bit about you. Get them to jog their memory as well as Olin's. How about that?
Jog my memory. Yeah, everybody else is good. It's me that's messing up.
No, it's okay. What's up, everybody? My name is Khadijah Toto, and I'm the podcast host of Entrance You. I'm a mindset coach and motivational speaker, and I teach mindset strategies for teachers, businesses, and schools. on how to change their mind frame, and I teach international mindedness and allow people to understand a view outside of their own and outside of their own perspective. I was on one other podcast, and that was the podcast, I believe we were talking about relationships that day, and being
Oh
with
Lord, that's any podcast.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Thank
you
you.
need to be a
That
little bit
narrowed it
more.
down.
like
That need to be a little bit more
it was
specific.
like multiple wives and having multiple partners that day. And
Okay.
I'm always going to come in with a cultural perspective, just because as a traveler and as a person who has a very diverse friend group, I'm always like, kind of like being like stretching the mind a little bit. Like I'm a mental yoga phenomenalist. So yeah,
Right.
that's about me. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the show, and welcome back. Brother Hassan, I see you in the building. How are you today? Peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Abundance to all. Yeah, I'm here. I'm Hassan. Hassan Booker. I'm an author, entrepreneur, survivalist, evolutionist, revolutionary.
Exactly.
All those things. Yeah, that's me.
Nice. All right. So now, like I said, we have a new guest on, and we definitely want to give him a welcome. Brother Everlast, welcome to the Talk It Over family. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm fine, sir. How's everybody? Thanks for the invitation. I've been looking forward to this, but I've been a very busy person. I appreciate it.
All right. So for our listeners, we always would like to let listeners know what you're into, where they can find you if you care to share. Give you a chance to promote anything that you are interested in or currently a part of that you would like listeners to know of.
Okay, well, I could just say that I'm a security consultant as a career. Kind of like took over on me in my journey of life, and I've been doing that for a while. Entrepreneur, a subcontract, corporate people, and VIPs. Also do training for other companies and organizations. I'm from the nation of gods and earths. That's my foundation. But I have learned to grow into understanding and took it to the level that knowledge is infinite. And I'm still at the stages where I'm still growing, but I've tapped into my ancestors, and I'm very focused on that because I appreciate always tapping in with other original people that's on the same plane. I admire the brother Hassan. He says he's a revolutionary because that's definitely the type of spirit that I come from my ancestors, my fathers and my uncles and all the people from back in the early 70s and things of that nature. I'm also a single parent, got a beautiful daughter. She's 11 years old. That's my heart and joy. And I'm here today to just build with you guys, see what we talking about.
Appreciate it. Welcome. And thank you for sharing that and being very open. That's what we're here. That's what we're all about at Talk It Over, is just speaking from everyone's individual journeys. Because like we said, Trish, none of us are subject matter experts, but everybody has, things that they can share that can help those who are on the journey of life currently. And just an aside note, I might need your services, Brother Everlast, to get some security to protect me from Trish when things get heated up in here. Trish comes for the throats, so I might need to be looking into that security service that you offering out there.
See, now you out here telling stories. I would never hurt a fly. All right, like y'all just out here starting trouble, Olin.
Okay,
get that cybersecurity going, huh?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Trish, let's go ahead and read really quickly from Brother Hassan's book, Success Inspirations 365. Yep, and let the people get their inspiration and motivation for the day, and then we're gonna go right into the topic.
Absolutely. So today, on this beautiful 86th day of the year, today's success inspiration, which the book, let me back up. The book Success Inspirations 365 can be found on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and anywhere that books are sold. It is a awesome read. Definitely motivational if you're looking for a little bit of inspiration every day of the year. So today, on this 86th day, it's history tends to repeat itself, yet nothing is ever the same. It is a paradox, and everything constantly changes, yet everything is the same.
Nice.
So, little tidbit for your Monday, Tuesday, Sunday, whatever day you listen to this on. Little gem there for you.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so should we go ahead and bring in the topic, the one that's juicy, that the Johnny's got some juice, but the Everlast is coming in hot. I know you got a story to tell, and Leon's gonna always be cracking the joke, so I know he's ready to hear him. So
I do.
All right.
Well, now let's jump right into it. And just so you know, I might have a guest show up on my end that I'll bring into the conversation whenever he gets back with lunch. So anyhow,
all right.
Today's topic is failure to launch. How to avoid the most common biggest first date mistake.
There's okay. All right.
So
how to avoid the common biggest, the most common and biggest first date mistakes. All right.
How to avoid them.
So is there a consensus on what the biggest and most common first date mistakes are? Is there?
No, I think honestly, I think for everybody it's gonna vary. Like I can tell you what mine is, but I'm gonna hold my stories for a minute. So how about let's just jump into this. Leon, you laughing, so I'm sure you got one or two.
Well, let's get like keeping
let's get the newbies in first.
Keeping the tradition. Let's allow Brother Everlast to speak his mind on what he thinks on how to avoid common and or big first date mistakes, and what they are in his opinion.
Exactly. That's the interesting part about it. Everybody gets a chance to put out their own perspective of what that might be. Okay, so from my perspective, I would guess most common, because it's also supposed to be common. So the only thing I could think of right now is that if a person might be a little bit over aggressive or a little bit like not tactful, not being tactful. Like on the first day, it's time where you're still filling out process. You got to really get to know each other. Sometimes a person has an agenda right off the gate, and he throws that agenda right in your face, and that could be a deal. Honesty is always a must. So if the agenda is coming right off the top, that's not a bad thing, but then it could be a common mistake.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the tactfulness. But yeah, Trish, what?
So I have a question. Like, I am a person that actually appreciates honesty in the very beginning. Like, don't give me your representative, give me you, so I can determine if you're somebody I want to deal with. So I don't necessarily feel like that's a terrible thing. Like,
right.
Like what type of agenda we talking about?
Okay, now we going where we need to be. Okay, so when we saw each other, just in general, that's an attractive situation, right? We was attracted towards each other. That's why we got to this point where now we're deciding to sit down and have a date, right? There was something that drawing us together. So when you say that you have no problem with a person being straight off the top, with it straight from the shoulder, then we might as well get to the nitty gritty of what attracted you to me. Was it attraction? Was your attraction to me about the way I carried myself, my anatomy, or was your attraction to me about something I articulated in my intellect? And then we have to be straight from there, because a lot of times we dance around and we know what we really want, because we know what really tapped in on us when we see a young lady. Because I'm gonna speak from a male perspective. I'm like, wow, I see shorty, she looking right. And the first thing I'm like, damn, I want to holler at her. And then, we take it from there. But then you could be somewhere like now in a forum like this and having a discussion. It could be a stimulating discussion, and something would be like, wow, I really like where this young lady's head is at. So it's all about, where your perspective and where you're going with it. Some people might just be playing it, leading you on, be sitting there trying to talk to you about all this Afrocentricity or whatever economic business, whatever discussion is. But in all reality, all they want to do is just, smash.
But and we're not gonna go too far into this right now. We're gonna come back to this. Yes. But I say, listen, sometimes that feeling is mutual. You know what I mean? Where it's like, listen, it is what it is. I like you, you like me, I'm feeling you in that way. We've seen it a dime a dozen. It happens all the time. So I feel like honesty could sometimes be the best policy. Say what you say, and let me deal with how I'm gonna react with that information. It could either go yeah that's a possibility, or it could be like, I like you but not yet. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let's so I like that, Brother Everlast, but I understand where you're going with it, but I like that. Najami, we started this conversation and you was like, I got stories to tell. So let's just go right over to you. And I want to hear.
It's not so much that I have stories to tell, but it's about.
Oh, now you backing up.
Hold up, wait a minute. I researched this conversation. I said, what caused a relationship's failure to launch? And what I found is that a lot of us come into relationships with imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome not only is indicative of executive or accomplishments, right? But it also affects our intimacy in relationships as well. So if you're coming into a relationship where you're afraid to be your authentic self, right? Or thinking this person's going to reject me because I'm not deserving of this relationship, or he's too fine, or she's too fine, or whatever, you're going to mess it up. You're going to muck it up. I think that sharing is important about who you are and what you're about, especially when you reach a certain age and you're confident about who you are. Straight up, what they're working with, what the intentions are. I go by vibes. So if I don't vibe a certain connection, I'm not going to force it. All right? I don't have anything to prove. But I find that it's a common impediment that this imposter syndrome affects the feeling of not feeling attractive enough or not good enough for your partner. And then so there are some tips about how to avoid this, which I will share later on in the conversation.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So far we've got not being or coming with an agenda and having an imposter syndrome, which is, again, and Olin, you could disagree with me or agree with me. I think
I disagree.
You disagree?
No matter what it
you
is, right?
feel like it?
I don't care what stance she takes. I disagree.
No, go ahead.
Listen,
Finish. Go ahead. Finish.
We've been doing this for a minute. Like, he's completely non-team Tricia at the moment.
Yep.
No matter
I didn't
what
say
I
I'm
say,
non-team Tricia. Just I gotta step my game up and get some team O. That's all. That's you gotta even it out.
He just needs to join this side of the table. You know what I mean? Just stop with your nonsense.
But can I just say this? When somebody tells you certain things about their past, their stories, and we come with all this judgment and stuff, it can bring up a lot of insecurities within us that either makes us feel, well, I can't match, I can't be with this sister. I get it a lot. People say, oh, you make men feel insecure. I say, I don't make anybody feel insecure. They feel insecure by their own damn self. Okay?
So just for clarification, when you're saying imposter, you're not talking about. Well, yeah, let's
imposter from a point of insecurity.
Okay.
Imposter from a point where you feel as though you're not good enough.
Got you.
This relationship with this brother or sister.
So you're intimidated almost a little bit.
Yes, based on the stories that they share about their lives.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Or lack thereof.
And truthfully, glamour.com has a whole entire article about this that talks about your relationship to yourself and how that can be a failure in a relationship. Failure to launch a relationship is your personal relationship with yourself. So it's right on the nail right there. All right. Well, let's see. Let's
Khadijah.
Khadijah?
Khadijah.
Come on.
Come with it. Bring it. What is your failure to launch? First date, common and big mistake. What is,
for me, the subject, it can spin kind of like multiple ways. So I'm just going to come from my perspective, because that's the only perspective I can speak from. But I don't if we haven't had conversations on the phone, I'm not getting in a car with you. And I expect to be picked up. And I expect to be treated like a lady, and I expect to be paid for, because I know I'm the prize. I know that I'm the gift, and I know what I want. So for me, dating isn't just like, oh, we're playing games. Like, no, I'm looking to be married. I'm looking to have a family. And we've had those conversations before I've even stepped out with you.
Yeah.
But it can also come from the kind of religious background that I'm coming from, because I am Muslim. So I'm not going to sit back and you know, like pretend that I don't want these things. And if you're too scared to have that conversation, I'm not downing myself or bringing myself to a lower level in order to help you feel comfortable. So it's like, because we have this understanding, right? So, and I'm not saying that the man necessarily even has to be Muslim, but we're going to have these conversations to address them, because I'm not interested in wasting my time. So I already, at that point, I already know how you think. So it's really failure to launch even a date with me, because if you can't get past the conversation point, then, because I'm looking at your intellect, I'm looking at how you think, because at the end of the day, I know I'm a woman, and I know that the way you think will influence the way I think. And if I already know that we're not level-headed on those terms, if you can't enhance me and you're taking me away from God, then you can't get further than that. And in terms of like what I'm specifically looking for, I'm going to go a little bit towards like Teal Swan's multiple personalities thing. It's kind of along the lines of the imposter syndrome, but I'm looking for like, what can you bring out of me and what can we bring out of each other, right? Because different people are going to incite or bring out different parts of you to yourself. And it's not anything you can help. It's just like, yo, why is it when I'm with, you know, let's say Ron down the street, yo, I'm laughing my tail off, I'm goofy and I'm crazy.
Yeah, because Ron a fool. That's
When
why.
I'm chilling with Richie, like, you know, when I'm chilling with Richie, I'm more serious and I'm more like, you know what I mean?
Richie don't play those games.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, who is it that I like myself to be? Because I think love is quite selfish, because it's about who I am while we coexist together. And what are we creating together? So it goes back into like the goals. Like, what are our goals? Are we just here to go for a ride? Because I'm not, if we don't have direction, well, I'm not interested in having a joyride. Now, if we were to have this conversation maybe 5 years ago, it'd be a little bit different. I was looking to have fun. I was looking to, you know, just hang out. I was looking for those things. But now where I'm at currently, it's like, bro, what direction are you going in? And a lot of the times I can be quite intimidated for a lot of men. And they can find me, because I've asked one man, like, are you scared of me? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, dang, I was like, I didn't even finish the sentence, but it was because I was holding him to a higher standard that he had never necessarily saw himself at before. And so in that honest conversation we had, he was just expressing to me, like, I'm not sure if I can be the man that you're looking for. And like low key, it kind of like made me cry, because I was like, why do you feel that you need to change yourself to be with me? But then it made me realize, oh, the way that he sees me is in such a high way that he's not necessarily seeing himself in that way. So it goes back to what Njami was saying about not necessarily insecurity, but like, you're not seeing us as equals, because now you're raising me above yourself. And I don't want to ever when you start lying, you start telling someone that they're more important than you. I don't ever want that, because at the end of the day, a relationship is about co-creating.
Amazing.
Nice.
Absolutely. We could end the podcast right there. Like that was it.
Well, hold on. We can't end the podcast. Leon got something to say. I know.
Listen,
we gotta get Leon in here. But that was very beautifully put. And I think that speaks to, you think you covered a lot of bases with that, where, you know, it speaks to exactly what everybody almost said, you know, knowing the relationship you have with yourself, and knowing when you have a good relationship with yourself, you know exactly what you're looking for. And then being upfront and honest, like Brother Everlast was saying in the beginning, calling that conversation out from jump to see if it's even worth the time to get to the first date. So I think that was, you know, you kind of covered all the bases there and hit points of what everybody was saying. But yeah, Brother Leon, what are your thoughts on
common biggest mistakes?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think I was just thinking from the perspective of like, you know, this is the first date. Some of the things that I'm thinking of: being on your cell phone, showing up late, always talking about yourself. I, me. Those are some of the things that I was thinking about. I mean, listen, all your answers was great too. I think it you know, you covered the whole spectrum of like the process.
Oh, we got heavy hitters on here right? today. So, man, we got heavy hitters on here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, I'm like, okay, you're on your phone, maybe a couple of minutes. Oh, let me go check in with my girlfriend, make sure they know my girlfriends, they know I'm safe or whatever. You know, women like to do that. You know, they take care of one another. But, you know, if it's 10 minutes, you're always snapping, you're on IG, you know, I feel like those are the types of things I think about, you know, like you're showing your attention or lack thereof, right?
Right.
Or, you know, if you're constantly talking about yourself and not asking probing questions to get to know the other person. I think something that was said earlier, though, I think you just said it, Khadija, about, you know, what you require as far as what your standards are. And, you know, it's like, if people don't go in, like, communicating those things, you know, you end up in these pitfalls of like, well, you didn't express your intentions out the gate. And so they're kind of like surprised when they actually do go out and have some time with that individual that's sitting across from them. So one of the other things that I would say prior to even setting up that first date is, you know, figuring out what your vetting process is to get to that first date. You know, I think that's another mistake too, because then, you know, you can avoid, you know, all the little short term. I mean, because like you said, Trish, earlier, sometimes you like to hear that truth out the gate, which is true. But at the same time, it's like, all right, how many times can you do this? You know, like, I can't keep going on these first dates over and over and over again, right? So like thinking about what your vetting process is to even get to that, I think is another mistake, or maybe not a mistake, but like something.
If I can expand on that, Leon, is just, you know, owning your, like you said, knowing your vetting process and knowing yourself. So a lot of times people will make exceptions, right?
Absolutely.
They'll change up. They'll allow stuff to happen just because of whatever reason. It could be they're tired of being lonely, or they just really, really are enamored with this person and they overlook, you know, some small
or they
things
think that maybe
because
they can change them.
Right. And that's another big one. They think that maybe, oh, they're telling me this, but, you know, I can work on them, right? I can work with that to get what I want out of it. And so, you know, being 100 with yourself and standing on that line is very, very important as well.
It's your man KI from Bed-Stuy, and you are listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. Thank you all for listening. We're going to cut part 1 right here, and we will pick up with part 2 next week. Stay tuned. Thank you.
In the words of KI, slow motion.
Peace.
Peace.
Amazing.
You've been listening to Talk It Over, the only dating relationship podcast that begins in bed. We hope you got what you needed. Make sure you subscribe. Holla at you next week.